How do you think the development of new diagnostic and risk identifying biomarkers will be influenced dependent on whether or not payers, insurance companies, are compelled to cover the biomarker test for Alzheimer's, like the one that received the recent FDA approval? And I have a follow-up question on that also, but I just want to start there. How do you feel that that payer role is that going to make an influence on how this goes with clinical trials also, whether or not they're going to be able to be used in the, we'll say the real world for someone to get diagnosed and then get access to treatments?
Should I take that one, Marcy?
Sure, go ahead.
Yep. Well, I do think that having strong payer acceptance of a cheap and easily accessible biomarker would definitely be a game changer, especially for the diagnosis and actual clinical practice of Alzheimer's disease. And while we wait for those important events to happen down the road, we're also optimistic and hopeful that if we show how these biomarkers can be cost-effective and reliable predictors of clinical progression in early phase research, it'll help set the stage for acceptance on a broader basis amongst the payer community and others. So while we wait for the payers to be fully accepting down the road, that'll be great. In the meantime, we still have options in earlier phase research to leverage these scientific breakthroughs, which subsequently then can provide a greater motivation for payers to make use of these and reimburse these techniques and technologies in everyday clinical practice.
Outstanding. And so, Garrett, piggybacking on that, do you think that if Medicare approves this, will that be a key benchmark in whether or not there's future government investment in additional biomarker research? Or do you think this is going to stay in the hands of pharmaceutical companies themselves digging into developing these biomarkers? Or, what do you feel is that going to be that bridge of possible Medicare approval also?
Yeah, one theme of this conversation has been leveraging these biomarkers for a sponsored clinical trial. But the question that we are all interested in getting to is how does this affect people who are suffering with Alzheimer's disease? One thing I know is that cheaper, more accessible biomarkers will be a much more compelling tool for Medicare and for the monitoring of Alzheimer's disease than those that are more expensive and less accessible. Alzheimer's disease is a really scary disease and it's a really burdensome one. And if we can decrease that burden and using a blood draw instead of a lumbar puncture or a PET scan, and it's cheaper and less expensive, these are things that will make a huge impact on those who are battling Alzheimer's disease and those who are caring for those who are suffering with Alzheimer's disease.